Okay. Hello, everybody listening from the viewing pleasure of your homes. Today we are going to work on part 2 of video 8.3, and we start with this do now. As always, pause the video, work on it on your own, and then start the video again and check your answers. Okay, so what we are going to do, we have an easy way and a hard way to answer this do now. Let's do the hard way first. The hard way says, what we're going to do is we're going to take a graph. Oh, oops. So that's not going to work. Anyway, the hard way would be, let's take a graph. Let us graph these 2 points, -2, -2, 5. So we go over 2, up 5. It's going to be right about here. And 9, 5. That's, we go over 9, up 5. Okay? And then we check the rise over the run, because we want to know the slope between these 2 points. Remember, slope, m, equals rise over run. That's one way to remember it. Well, we then look at these 2 points. How far up does this go from one point to the other? Hey, 0. So the rise is 0, and the run, how far did I go from the left point to the right point? I went over 2 to get to 0, and then how many more? 9 more, so what's the total run? 0 over what? Nope. 11. No. She did. What did she say? All right. I'll call. No. All right, so the slope is 0 over 11, but we can simplify 0 over 11, and our slope is what? M equals 0. 0 divided by 11 is 0. If I cut 0 up into 11 equal parts, I still have 0 for each part. Okay? That was the hard way. Here's the easy way. I have a simple slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, y2, y1, x2, x1, we find all of those from our points over here, -2, 5, and 9, 5. One of these has to be 0.1, and one of these has to be 0.2. And I'm going to pick them at random just to be 1 and 2 respectively. 0.1 will have the coordinates x1, y1. 0.2 will have the coordinates x2, y2. And now all I do is I plug these numbers in. x1 is -2, so I'm going to put -2 down here. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to move this down a little bit further. Because what I have to start with is just my outline of my formula. 2 negative signs. So now I will put them in. x1 is down here. y1 is going to be right up here. 5. And x2 is 9. That's going to go down here. And y2 is going to go over here, 5. And what do I get? 5 minus 5 equals what? 0. 9 minus -2. Anytime you see this minus a negative, you should change it in your mind to a plus. That makes it easy. 9 plus 2. So you get 0 over 11. That simplifies to what? 0. So your slope, m, equals 0. All right? And that's it. Pretty simple, right? Much easier than graphing it, is if you can just use this formula. Shahid, question? Anytime you see 2 negatives right next to each other, a negative followed by a negative, you just change it to a plus. As long as they are right next to each other and there's no numbers in the middle. Okay? Okay, next question's a little bit different. Find the y-intercept of the equation 7x plus 2y equals 6. This is from last night's video. And what was the trick about finding the y-intercept? Melissa? X is always 0. X will always equal 0 when we're finding the y-intercept. Let's go back up to our graph to figure out why. When we have a graph here, okay, anytime you're hitting the y-axis, I'll use the magic pen here. Anytime I'm going to hit the y-axis here, I know that my x-coordinate, I haven't gone left or right yet, so my x-coordinate is going to be 0, anywhere on this line. Okay?
Yes.
So we go down here, and we say, hey, x is 0. I know that, so now let me just use my equation, 7x plus 2y equals 6, but I know that x is 0, so I have 7 times 0 plus 2y equals 6. Well, what's 7 times 0?
0.
I'm just going to cross that out. I don't need it anymore. 2y equals 6. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Y equals 3. What is my y-intercept? Be very careful. What is my y-intercept? There are a couple ways to answer this question. One of them is technically correct and the others are not. Alexis? No. That is the point of my, that's the coordinate of my y-intercept. That is not my y-intercept. Jazz? My y-intercept is just 3. Not y equals 3, it's just 3. And this is important for what's coming up in our lesson today. So the y-intercept is just the number. Okay? It's not the point. It's not the coordinate. It's just the number. If we wanted to graph our y-intercept, we would need to use the point 0, 3. But our y-intercept is just 3. Okay? Let's go on.
How do you know x equals 0?
We didn't do X.
Because when you have the y-intercept, you're on the y-axis, and we haven't gone left or right, so that's how you know x will be 0. Okay. First thing we're going to do is use slope-intercept form to find slopes and y-intercepts. Okay? All linear equations can be arranged in this form. Anybody know the form before I reveal it?
No.
No?
I think I did. Okay.
Y equals mx plus b. Okay? When they are in this form, m will be my what? M will be my slope, and b will be my what? Which intercept? The x or the y?
The Y.
Why?
Turns out that it is the y-intercept. So if we can find just the slope and the y-intercept, we can write an equation. Or if we have an equation in this form, we can figure out our slope and our y-intercept very, very easily. Okay? So, let's start over here with letter A. Find the slope and the y-intercept of this equation right here that is given to us. We get... We get very lucky here because this is already in in slope-intercept form. So all we need to do is kind of hash it out a little bit. We want this to look like y equals mx plus b, where m and b are numbers. Well, let's look at our equation. We have the y, we have equals x, and we have a negative 6. But to put this in true y-intercept form, or slope-intercept form rather, we have to we put in our m. What number is really right in front of this x? 1. And what's really right here in between the x and the negative 6? It's plus a negative 6. Remember, plus a negative is the same thing as subtracting. So what we're really doing is we have 1x plus negative 6. And just writing it this way helps us to immediately see, well, what's our slope? What's our y-intercept? If you can see it without doing this step, you don't have to do this step, but it helps. What would our slope be then? Slope is 1, because that's this guy right here. And then what's our y-intercept, which is represented by the letter b? B is negative 6. We're done. See how easy that is?
No. I do
So
not.
what is X?
X and y are going to stay x and y. This is an equation still. But when we write our equation in this form, y equals some number x plus or minus some number, I know that whatever is right in front of my x will be my slope, and whatever's right here will be my y-intercept. It's just the way it works. Watch as we do a couple more. Okay? B, we don't get so lucky. We do not have this in y equals mx plus b form. Instead, what we have is 8x equals 5y. So what we need to do is we need to rearrange this so y comes first and everything else is on the other side. If I was going to rearrange this equation here so that y was by itself, first of all, I want to get the y first. So the first thing I'm going to do is just write it differently. 5y equals 8x. Does everybody understand that this is the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I just switched them. Now I want y by itself. How do I get y by itself here?
Why did you
Want y by itself, y, and I went on the left side because y equals mx plus b. That's kind of the form I wanted it. Niasia, what would you do to get y by itself? Divide what by 5?
Divide 5 on.
Okay?
Yeah, and then I equals 8x.
No.
You gotta divide. No, I'm talking.
You have to do it on the other side as well. You can't just do it on one side. What you do to one side, you must do to the other, our cardinal rule. Okay? So now but you were right. That is what I'm going to do. Now I have y equals 8/5 x and nothing else. Now, is this in slope-intercept form?
Yes. No, it's not.
Well, it is if you can see why it is. Clearly, your slope is going to be what? 8/5 is your slope. But what is your y-intercept? 0. It's not there. So what this really was, we don't write it, but what we really have is plus 0. And now this and this are in the same form. And you know that m is 8/5. And your y-intercept, b,
It's 0.
is 0. So we write m equals 8/5.
Hey.
And no, not x, just 8/5. This is your slope. We go rise over run, up 8/5. Up 8/5. And then b is 0. So where will this hit the where will this hit the y-axis? What point?
I don't.
That's not a point, that's a number. 0, 0, because remember, for your y-intercept, x is always 0, so you have 0, 0. This will hit at the origin.
I don't understand it.
Okay? It's just a matter of putting it into this form, y equals mx plus b, and then just reading off what m and b are. That's all. Okay? So let's do the next one. It's a little bit trickier yet. Now I've got a couple of steps to get y by itself. What is the first thing I'm going to do to get y by itself here?
Switch the number.
I already have y on the left-hand side, so I don't need to switch anything. Seiku, what's the first thing you would do? We're not looking for our y-intercept. We're looking to rearrange this equation right now. Keontre. What? What do you mean by simplify?
You know how we did that for the first one we did? Is 5
Yeah. What's the first thing I do?
divide 3x by 3.
No. Station A. Subtract 3x from both sides. Subtract 3x from both sides. Now here's the trick. 7y is left on the left. What is 9 minus 3x? Thank you. This is not 6x. It is 9 minus 3x. They are not like terms.
Why is that a G?
I thought it was a friend.
No, that is a 9. Now, how do I solve this for y? And we will have fractions. Lika. Divide each side by 7. Now, this one's easy. I divide that by 7. What do I divide by 7 on the other side? The whole thing. Or another way of doing that is to divide every term separately by 7. This actually helps us a little bit more. Okay? It means the same thing. Now, these 7s will clearly cancel out, and we are left with y equals 9/7 minus 3/7 x.
So I can't be
Now-
9 and 3 over 7.
Now, is this y equals mx plus b form? Is this equation I just wrote over here Is this y equals mx plus b form?
Yeah.
No.
No, because my term with my x needs to be first. Look what's first over here. This needs to be first. Look what's first over here, just our number. So we really need to switch these, okay? So what I'll do, Adeline,
Does the sign matter?
the sign absolutely matters, okay? So look what I will do now. I will do y equals, and I want to flip these guys. So what do I write?
5, 3 over 7.
3 over 7x.
Minus 9 over 7.
Notice I didn't put any signs there. Because remember, the sign comes with the number that it's in front of. So the 3 sevenths x is really negative. And the 9 sevenths is really positive, right? The sign always comes in front of the number it belongs to. So when you move these guys around, you have to bring the sign with it. So negative 3 sevenths x, and then plus 9 over 7. Now we have this in slope-intercept form, and we just read it off. M equals what?
3, 7. No, 3, 7. Negative 3.
Negative 3 over 7. B, y-intercept, is what? 9 over 7. Can I simplify any of these fractions?
No.
No, they don't have any common factors. So that's it.
I kind of get this.
Good. That's it. It's just a matter of rearranging, which we've been doing for a long time now, and just reading them off. As long as we get them into y equals mx plus b form, then we know m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. Yes?
So the fraction with the x is always the m.
It's always the m, yes. Always the m. And that's actually a good question Malika brought up. The fraction with the number with the x is always my m. So even over here where I had this not in y equals mx plus b form, if I thought about it, I could say I already know that what's right in front of my x will be my slope. So I could just say my slope is negative 3 sevenths, and the other number has to be my y-intercept, so 9 over 7. You don't have to flip it around if you're really clever. Okay? Okay, so this one is going to be your turn. You are not doing it right now. You will do it, well, for the people in the class right now, you will do it when we're done with the video. For the people watching at home, you can pause the video and do it now. And we are going to go on to writing slope-intercept form. Yes. Hurry up. Okay? One 10. Okay, we've got 7 minutes left to finish this video. Okay, we're going to write slope-intercept form. What we want to do is write the equation of the line that passes through negative 3, 1, and 2, negative 1. And I want to write it in y equals mx plus b form. So what do we actually need in order to write y equals mx plus b form? There are 2 numbers we need. Can anyone identify them? Jahid. You need m and b. Exactly right. We need to find our m, which is our slope, and our b, which is our y-intercept. Does anybody remember doing that today at some point?
No.
So the do now. The do now asks us to find slope and y-intercept, didn't it? Well, you've already done this whole thing then. All we need to do is find the slope between these two, and then find b. It'll be just a tiny bit harder to find b, but we've basically done this already. First thing, step 1. Oops. Not what I meant to do. Okay, first thing we want to do is find our slope. And the way we do that is just like we did in the do now. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I will pick these points. Randomly, I decide this one's going to be x2, y2, just to change it up a little bit. And this one will be x1, y1. Because it doesn't matter which one I pick as point 1 and which one I pick as point 2. As long as I'm consistent. y2 now is going to be 1 minus y1 is negative 1. So don't forget to put the second negative sign here. We've got 2 negative signs. That we know will become a plus. x2 is negative 3 minus x1 is just 2. First thing I see is 2 negative signs. I'm just going to change that to a plus. And so I get my slope is 1 plus 1 is 2. And then negative 3 minus 2. What's negative 3 minus 2? Negative 5. So this all becomes negative 2/5. I will put my negative right in the middle there because the whole thing is negative. Okay? I found my slope. I'm halfway done. Now I need to find my y-intercept. And here's the tricky part. Oops. Here's the tricky part, so you need to stay with me here. Substitute to find your y-intercept. Okay. So remember your equation. What form do you want it in?
Y equals B.
Mx plus b. I don't have b yet, but I do have m, right? So right away, I'm going to replace m with negative 2/5. I want to find b. That's what I'm going for. But here's the thing. I have y equals negative 2/5 x plus b. I still have way too many unknown pieces of information.
Yep.
But here's the thing. This equation is true for every point on the line, right? This equation is true for every point on the line. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one of these points, the easier looking one. Neither of them actually looks real easy. So I guess I'll do this one. 2 comma negative 1. Look what I can do. If I know that one point is 2 comma negative 1, I can temporarily put in that point into my equation in order to find b. Because y would have to be, at one point, negative 1. That's going to equal negative 2/5 times x, which I know is, at some point, 2, plus b. If I now just solve for b, I know what b will be because it's not going to change at any point. It's always going to stay the same number. So what is...
But I don't understand. Why you only take the negative 1? Yeah.
He took the 2 too.
x is here as well. So I took the 2 as well. I replaced x with 2 and y with negative 1. Now, I need to stress, I'm only doing this temporarily to find b. I'm then going to put the x and the y back. Okay? But once I do this, then I just need to remember how do I multiply fractions. These do not cross cancel. 2 and 5, they have no common factors. So I just multiply across. Negative 1 is equal to negative 4 over 5 plus b. If negative 4/5 plus b equals negative 1, well, let's turn negative 1 into a fraction so we can easily see our answer here. What's negative 1 as a fraction with 5 as the denominator? Negative what?
Negative 1/5.
Negative 5.
Negative 5 over 5.
Oh.
Right? Negative 1 is negative 5 over 5. 1 is 5 over 5, right? So what I'm going to do is negative 5 over 5 is equal to negative 4 over 5 plus b. What? Is it obvious now what b is?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's one of them. No.
2 times 2.
But I thought you did the denominator. I thought it was not.
The denominator is 1. There's no cross-canceling going on here.
Negative 1.
But I thought you multiplied it.
You multiply the tops together and the bottoms together.
It's negative
4, 5.
No, 1.
Negative 1 is equal to negative 5 over 5. Here's the other thing you could have done. You could have just added 4/5 to both sides. See, this is why it's important to know fractions. Okay? So if we have, now what we're going to do is add 4/5 to both sides. Add 4/5 to both sides. Negative 5, 5/5 plus 4/5. Negative 1/5. So b
Equals negative 1.
negative 1/5 equals b. And you will finish up watching the last of the slide. The last of the slide, the last slide you will watch for homework. Okay, welcome back everybody. I paused the video because third block was over where I was doing the recording. But I'm going to finish this video real quickly. So where we left off, we had found we had found m, our slope. It is negative 2/5. We had found b by plugging in m and a point into our equation y equals mx plus b. So that gave us b was negative 1/5. And so we are going to put all of that together, and we get our equation y is equal to m, which let me scroll up again to make sure I don't make a mistake on that. M is negative 2/5. So y equals negative 2/5 x plus b, but b is negative, so minus 1/5. This is the slope-intercept form of our linear equation. Now what it wanted us to do, let's see what the question was. Write the equation of the line that passes through negative 3, 1, and 2, negative 1. Okay, so we have actually written the equation, and we are done. That's all there is to it. Y equals negative 2/5 x minus 1/5. I think we have another one that we can do. Okay, yes we do. Write the equation of the line that passes through negative 1, 1, and 3, comma, negative 3. Once again, I have actually, I didn't use it on the last one, but there are two ways to find the slope, which is the first step. Remember, step 1, find the slope. And there are two ways to do it. We can either do it the hard way, which is find put the 2 points on here, negative 1, 1, which is right there, and 3, negative 3, which is right there. Okay, and then just connect them with a line. And once I have done that, I can do my rise over my run. How far up or down did it go compared to how far over it went? Well, from these 2 points, I have gone down 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've gone down 4. So that's a negative 4. And then I go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So over 4. And so my slope is negative 4 over 4, which simplifies to negative 1. That's one way I can do my slope. The other way is just using the formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? And from there, I just figure out which one I want to call point 1, which one I want to call point 2. Let's do x1 here, y1 here. Point 2 is x2, y2. And then we'll just plug in. y2 is negative 3, so I will replace my y2 with negative 3. I have minus y1 is 1 divided by x2 is 3 minus, and x1 is negative 1, so minus negative 1. And once I have done this, then it's just a simple matter of figuring out what this is. Negative 3 take away 1 on the top is negative 4. 3 minus negative 1, well, remember, this minus and negative should tell you to make it a plus right away. So we have 3 plus 1, which is 4. Negative 4 over 4, which once again is negative 1. My slope is negative 1 no matter which way I do it. That should make a lot of sense. Otherwise, one of the ways of finding it would be wrong if you did not get the same thing every time. Okay. Now what I am going to do, I'm just going to move this down. Step 2, we're going to substitute to find our y-intercept, which is b. Okay. What that means is I'm going to take my slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. If I have y equals mx plus b, I need to substitute in for m. I know what m is. It is negative 1. So I will plug that in. Everything else will stay the same. Y equals mx plus b. But I want to find b, so I need to be able to fill in x and y temporarily in order to find b. So what I do is I just go up here and I take one of my points that looks easiest. That one looks easy to me, negative 1, 1. So I'm going to use that point. I'm going to write it down here again, negative 1, 1. And temporarily, I'm going to fill this in for x and y. Y is this guy here. So that's going to become a 1. 1 is equal to negative 1 times x. X is that guy there. So times negative 1 plus b. This one will end up actually being a little easier than the last one we did, because we do negative 1 times negative 1. A negative times a negative is a positive, so I just get 1. 1 is equal to 1 plus b. Well, common sense tells me what b is going to be, but let's say I didn't know it, and I will do subtract 1 from both sides to get that 0 is equal to b, which makes sense because if 1 is equal to 1 plus something, that something has to be 0 because you're already at 1. So b is equal to 0. So I'm going to write my slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, using now to write the equation just m and b. So y equals, m was negative 1 times x plus b, which is 0. And then I need to simplify this because I've written this a little bit more complicated than needs to be. Y can't be simplified anymore, but this negative 1x could be written simpler, negative x. And this plus 0 doesn't even need to be there because it's not doing anything. And this is my equation. Y equals negative x. That is slope-intercept form. Okay? Let's go ahead and try this next one on our own. Your turn. Write the equation of the line that passes through negative 2, negative 7, and 3, 8 in slope-intercept form. And that is all. That is everything we are doing. There is nothing... we are not going to do this word problem because I think the video is already longer than I wanted it to be. And so we will save that for tomorrow, and we will be done for today.